Hello. How are you guys? Okay. So hi, my name is Kate. I'm really excited to be here, particularly this afternoon, and especially among this particular group with these two awesome women. It's quite nice, actually. So my name is Kate. I am a person who does many things, but what I'm going to be talking to you guys today about, particularly within the scope of emerging forms, is something called physical computing. So physical computing is basically an approach to thinking about computing and how people communicate that starts with the human, with the body, with our physical forms, with how we interact with the world, with how we perceive things, and how we physically express ourselves. And so, oh, you guys can't see what I'm looking at. There we go. That's me. Hi, Kate. Physical computing. Anyway, so this is a book that was published in 2004 by these guys, Dan O'Sullivan and Tom Igoe, who are actually favorite people of mine. And my favorite part of this book is this particular diagram which is what they define as how the computer sees us. And so, basically what we see here is an eye. When we look at these computers, we know, well, the computer is assuming that we have, some sort of ability to see things because it presents us with visual information. We see ears because oftentimes there's audio output, and we see a single digit because it proposes all these opportunities with keys and a mouse pad and that sort of thing, but that's pretty much it. And so what they're talking about in this book is how do we bust out beyond that, and we need to think about the fact that this book was published in 2004 and things have changed a bit since then. And so we've got these new interfaces that actually kind of bring us into the gestural realm, so whether it be, gestural input on a screen or actually in physical space, such as with a Wiimote or a Kinect or that sort of thing. But I think the basic concept is still really relevant. And that is that, we need to be thinking about how we want to be interacting with computational possibilities. How do we want computers to see us? And how can we incorporate these things in such a way that's both sensible and elegant? And how do we bring them into our everyday lives? So, I am a creative technologist with a bit of an odd portfolio. I make insulated suits that enable people to hug glaciers. I also create network sensing units that enable houseplants to engage in human communication protocols such as Twitter or phone calls. And I use really a wide variety of tool sets. So I communicate through everything from radio transceivers and serial to Ethernet devices to funnels and plastic tubing. Because when it comes down to it, for me, what I'm really interested in is people and how people relate to each other and how they relate to the world around them. So I used to be in New York City where I was working at New York University, but 2 years ago I moved up here to work in Toronto at the University of the Imagination, which is OCAD, and I am an assistant professor there. So my office is actually right up the street, and I share a wall with the lovely Emma Westacott, who spoke earlier. And this is what is up on my wall at the moment. So this is kind of my plate for this past semester, which ended, I guess, yesterday. And so currently I am the director of a brand new graduate program called Digital Futures. And we're launching an undergraduate program of the same name next fall. So it's a pretty exciting time for us. And if anyone needs an undergrad or a grad degree, now's the time to apply. But I also, part of the reason I was hired there was to develop an undergraduate curriculum in wearable technology. So specifically looking at how to incorporate tech into clothing, into things that live close to our skin. So I've been working on that as well. I'm also the director of the Social Body Lab, which is kind of an experimental art and research space where we think about the social implications of body-centric technologies. So, and beyond that, I hang out at a lot of hacker spaces. I really like to go to Site 3 and Interaccess. I like to get NYC Resistor in New York. I have spent some time with the CFC. I'm interested in education from a lot of different perspectives. And the thing that's really interesting about this moment is that this thing keeps showing up. So this showed up in Alex's talk and in Pearl's talk and in my talk, and it's this thing called an Arduino. And Alex already explained a lot about it, but the guys who made it explain it as three things. They say that it is it's hardware, it's software, and then it's also a community. So it's specifically, an electronics prototyping platform that's meant for artists and designers and other non-experts. So that's really exciting. I also see it as an opportunity. I see it as an invitation, and I see it as kind of a springboard or a canvas to make all kinds of crazy things. And it's something that I use in my teaching, both on the graduate, undergraduate, and in workshops, just kind of the whole spectrum. So yeah, it's basically a really stripped down computer where you're designing interactions from the chip up, and the inputs and outputs are left bare, so you can define the avenues for information exchange. So you might ask, why is this interesting? Maybe it's not. Or perhaps why is this rich territory, or why is it important? So yeah, those are really good questions. So I'm just going to talk to you guys very quickly about a couple things that I've been thinking about lately. So one is fear and power. So I teach all these classes, and I mostly work with students who don't have a training in technology at the moment. And so last September, in my wearable tech class, I got this interesting email, which I thought I would share with you guys. And it was from one of my best students that semester. And it was about, a week or two into the course. And she said, "Hi, Kate. I just wanted to let you know that I am dropping the Wearable Technology 1 course. I think the content of the course is very interesting, but I've been struggling to come to terms with working with technology in my work, and I've come to realize that I don't think the way technology thinks. This was a difficult realization to come to, and I'm still open to learning about technology. I'm just not sure that this is the way for me to do it at this time." So this was an interesting moment, right? Because this is one of my best students. So of course I pulled her into my office and we had a good talk. But it gets me really interested to think about these really smart, engaging people who are intimidated by the tools that they use. And for me, it's really important that people have a sense of agency with emerging technologies, because there's no avoiding them. And there's a real power dynamic at play. And that's something that I really try to address in my teaching and in my own practice. So next, we have porosity. And you must say, what the heck is that? So anyway, I like to think about the porousness of devices and interfaces and software. So due to the open source hardware and software movement, a lot of these things are much more accessible and able to be infiltrated and penetrated, and they are pliable and malleable, and they can be accessed in all these different ways. And that's a really good opportunity because their source code and design files and circuit diagrams are all available in some form. So that really opens up the opportunity for someone who's not necessarily an expert to start to come to understand how these things work. Next, we have the concepts of ownership. So within this realm, my students are artists and designers, and I tell them to go, figure out how to make these things using these different tools, and they come back to me and they say, shamefully, they say, "I copied somebody's code." And I say, good. And it really, within academia, it challenges these traditional notions of ownership and of plagiarism and of that sort of thing. And so we have whole classes on attribution and that sort of thing. But what's amazing is that there's this moment of massive collaboration going on. And you get to stand on the shoulders of your peers and mentors and those who know less than you. And so it's a really interesting kind of Tetris going on. So finally, the thing that interests me most is just the potential for education and for expression. So once again, getting people involved in these tools and what they can be used to create. So my classes really center on students taking ideas from concept to completion and thinking about how they can use these really basic technological systems and incorporate them into their existing practices to come out with a completed work. So yeah, it's really about not so much about them learning about technology, it's about them learning how to implement their ideas. So, it's really about thinking about stemming from these really simple tools, how you can come out with a variety of outcomes. And so this is just an image of a bunch of my students and their projects. And we have everything from a cyborg felted mask that can blush and blink, a skateboard that can tweet when you make a good ollie, a debris skirt that shimmers with earthquake events around the world, a belly dancer's costume that actually generates music rather than following it, a miner's helmet that detects noxious gases and blows to the head, and some stock market lingerie that reads off stock quotes as you undo the clasps. Thanks.